Welcome to the Area of Effect Gaming channel. I hope this video earns a like in your subscription. I encourage comments so that I can improve the channel. Today we will be covering Cities Skylines 2. Let's get started.
They say money makes the world go round. It's as true in Cities Skylines too as it is in our world. Keep your city spinning by steering its economy on a course to prosperity. Your city's economic simulation is modeled on real-world economics. This introduces complexity and nuance to city building without making it complicated. The economic system in Cities Skylines.
So here you see the first look at the budget panel. As you can see, there's several things here. There's taxes, which are normal, service fees, which are you charging people for electricity and water and internet, stuff like that. So in this game, there's an extra layer of monetary gain from basically reality, charging people for services. So I do like that. And then service trade is things that you're trading in and out of the city. So if you're producing extra cotton, then you're trading cotton out. So that's where that money's coming in, is service trade. And then government subsidies. You get government subsidies at the beginning of the game, and they kind of wean away as you start becoming independent and you get into a positive net income. And once your city's at a certain level, subsidies will just cut out entirely, and it'll be on you to keep your city flourishing. As you can see in the expenses, I see subsidies. I'm not sure why there would be a negative subsidy, but I guess we'd have to play to figure that out. So all the services have upkeep costs. So as you can see here, we're charging $1 million for services, but it's costing us almost 12. So that's a big deficit. So maybe in this city they need to charge more for services, or do you look at services as just a cost that the city should take on? That's up for you to decide, and every person's game is going to be different. But I do like that. And then again, service trade. If you're buying things from other cities, it's going to come as a cost and an expense. And then any loan interest you have will be coming out of expenses. So it looks like this city's net monthly balance is plus 520, which breaks down to an hourly of 21,707, as you can see on the panel. And I believe I said in an earlier video, I don't particularly care for that. I wish it would be, a month here or a day here, and then daily balance would be whatever a day. But I understand why they have to have it that way. It's just easier time-wise, financially, fiscally, to have it monthly. And then the hourly is kind of just more of a real-time, just tracking your positive, negative status for monetary gain. And since this video, I don't know if anybody watched the plop time video they did yesterday or the day before last. They actually did just modify this icon, so it no longer shows you the money. You have to hover over it if you want to see the plus or minus money gain. It just shows you either 1, 2, or 3 green up arrows, or 1, 2, or 3 red down arrows to indicate that you're in a positive or negative trend. So that's cool. Let's keep going.
Skylines 2 is actually engineered to help you grow your new city, and as it develops, to give you influence over the financial levers that generate wealth. You'll raise revenue by taxing the sale of goods and services.
All right. I absolutely love this level of micromanagement. It's not for everybody, but in certain respects, you can tax residential, commercial, industrial at a general level from this screen, or as you can see, industrials, the carrots expanded, so you can see all of industrial. So you can set either a general at the industrial level, so you can make it 12% for everybody, or if you want to encourage food companies, then you give them a tax break. So as you can see here, they're making food 7%. That means they are probably importing food from another city. So they want to encourage more businesses to come in uh, with a food related economy scale. So to provide that offset so they don't have an added expense. But yeah, absolutely love that. So you can fine tune it, or if you want to do a city that is a timber city, then you can do that. You can absolutely do that. You can make everything else higher in taxes and make timber really cheap, and you can just export timber. I mean, if you're on a map that's got a ton of trees or something like that, go for it. You build your city. Let's keep going.
Energy production, the extraction of raw materials, tourism, and more. You'll also tax private incomes, as healthy economic activity will mean jobs for citizens. With money in your city's coffers, you can invest in city services and infrastructure, schools and universities, and all the other engines of urban development. An important aspect of economic growth is balancing supply and demand. Businesses will do this automatically, exporting their goods when they produce more than the market wants. However, this can hit their bottom line as transport costs can reduce profitability. To keep the rate of production in line with demand, businesses will even fire employees. On the flip side, when products aren't made fast enough to meet local demand, companies in your city will be forced to buy from expensive outside connections, and that can quickly eat into profits too.
All right, so here's an example you can see here. So they've got all the outside connections, top imports, top exports. So the city is very much importing convenience food. So that's why they had the tax rate at 7% below everything else, because they're trying to encourage companies to come in to decrease that offset so they're not importing so much food, beverage, and convenience food, because actually combined that's a fairly large percentage. Looks like it 40, like 51%, give or take. So that's a lot of food related imports that the city that's costing the city. And then here for exports, so this city seems to have a lot of offices. So it's exporting a lot of its financial, telecom, and media, which is great because that it basically free. It doesn't cost you to buy financial stuff. You just plop offices and they generate financial firms or telecom firms or media firms or even software firms. So look, the top four here, I'm pretty sure, are all generated from offices. Maybe telecom is the internet towers if the city's got one. That might be shareable. I don't know, but just potentially all offices generating upwards of what, almost 80%, almost 90% of the exports in the city, and hardly anything on coal, machinery, or steel. So this is definitely an office-oriented city. But I love that you can get that down and dirty, and you can decide your fate, your city's fate. If you, like I said, if you want to take your city in a particular direction, you take it in that direction. This game's got the tools to make sure you can get there. All right, let's keep going.
Taxes can also influence the production rate of specific goods. You can slow the rate of production by raising taxes, lower taxes to accelerate production rates and lure similar manufacturers to your city. It's also possible to motivate businesses to specialize in ways that strengthen the economy. Imagine reducing taxes for furniture stores and the various industries that manufacture their products. That will make them more profitable. More businesses specializing in the design and manufacture of furniture will crop up. Before you know it, your city will have a flourishing furniture trade and a reputation that keeps cash flowing in.
So I love this. This is 3 different commercial buildings that are all oriented for furniture. And it does say actually up here, its commodity is furniture. So each business will tell you where in the chain it falls. If it's doing furniture, if it's providing food, convenience food, beverages, which is really great. And the efficiency is good because if it has an efficiency above 100%, that means it's essentially making money.
Managing and adjusting production chains is another way you can influence your city's economy. Overhauled in Cities Skylines 2, this adds a whole new dimension to city building. There's no need to micromanage every detail if you don't want to. But if you
All right, so like you said, you don't have to micromanage if you don't want to, but this is a great screen for tracking production chains. So let's say you want to know, what's involved in the production of electricity. Well, it tells you here, that the coal is used for electricity, and coal is received from either mining or importing. So everything in the city, every commodity has a chain like this, and you just have to find it and click on it. So right now he's highlighted on coal. So we are producing in this city, in New Dollarton, which is Biffa's city, um, is making 536 tons of coal a month. And it's making that in surplus at a level of 274 tons a month. So that means that much is being exported. Now, she made it sound like exporting is a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. In excess is probably not efficient, but exporting is exporting. You're making a good and you're selling it somewhere. So as long as somebody's buying it, you're making money. It may be, 10% less because you have to export it, but that's where if you're going to build an export city, then you focus your cost saving efforts on landmarks that reduce production chain fees, or increase the efficiency of those types of buildings, or reduce your cost to import or export. Everything in this game has something to help you make the city the way you want to make it. So you just have to find it. But I love this screen. Let's keep going.
you love a puzzle, there's almost no limit to how deep you can go. Starting from raw material extraction, you can get raw materials into the city by importing them or producing them locally. Opt for local production, and you'll need to establish a specialized industry area. There are 9 total. 4 are
I'm sorry, but that's crazy. That's so much more than in City Skylines 1. I think we had maybe 5. We had food in general, and then meat. And then we had ore, oil, and forestry. So yeah, I think that was 5, and now there's 9. So that's crazy. I love that we have a more defined industry, and you know what? I'll be honest. I hope they increase that with an expansion and get a little bit more diversified. But this pretty much covers a lot of the basics. You got your meat, you got your grains, you got your vegetables, and you got your textiles, which is cotton. So you can make shirts and stuff like that, and then wood to make furniture, rocks, coal. I think that's iron, which would make steel and all that other stuff, and then oil. So those are, if you had to break it down to 9 to show a complete economy, that's your best bet. But like I said, I'd love to see them expand that if they could, but lovely feature. Love it.
farms where you can raise livestock or grow either grain, vegetables, or cotton. Forests produce timber, though how much depends on the age of the forest. You can extract ore, stone, or coal from underground deposits. And lastly, you can drill for oil. You'll manage all this activity via the economy panel. It puts your city's finances at a glance and allows you to monitor and adjust production outputs for various goods and materials. With integrated tools and clear displays, the economy panel is a user-friendly.
All right, so I'll go back there for a second so you can see the loan screen. But so with loans, as you saw with the slider when they brought it up and down, in this game, you can take a loan, but it's going to hurt you the bigger the loan you take. So, because the interest rate increases with the amount of money. So taking $100,000 loan at 1% versus taking $1 million loan at, like 3 or 4%, that's a big difference. If you can get away with it, I would recommend starting with smaller loans. Now, if you really need to do a big project and you've already got the income per hour to cover the loan interest, sure, go for it. With taking this loan at $579,000, that's going to put the city in a deficit each month. So, although I would like to know two, per hour, again, for their fiscal theming, they need to have it in months, which I get. But I'm glad that it does show us here the deficit. That if this is going to cause us to go into deficit, that it tells us. So I do like that feature, and I will try to stay away from loans. But if I have to take a loan, especially early game, it's going to be a very small loan. I won't be taking a 6.8% interest loan for $8.5 million. That's just not going to happen. Not early game. All right, let's keep going.
A user-friendly way to manage and grow your economy. So, if money really does make the world turn, how will you grow your city's economy so everyone in it can enjoy the ride?
All right, we're on episode 10 of the feature highlights, game progression. Let's get into it.
City building is a journey led by your creativity and ambition. So the decisions you make along the way reflect who you are. To help you build a city that's true to you, Cities Skylines 2 puts 20 milestones packed with rewards directly in your path.
All right, so I think I was guesstimating last time. 20 city milestones. That's crazy, and you get so much cash for each one of them. And look at the M Megalopolis. You unlock 56 city tiles. I mean, like, by now you've already unlocked most of the map, so at this point it's like, what's 56 extra tiles? But you have so much of a bigger map to play with. When you get that extra last milestone and unlock the rest of the map, you're gonna feel complete, and by then hopefully your city's really large.
When you unlock a milestone, you're rewarded expansion permits. Expansion permits allow you to quickly add new map tiles to your city. But this isn't just about real estate. Use expansion permits to release tiles with the specific attributes you need to see your plans through.
Yeah, so like she said, and like I said, I believe in an earlier video, so each tile, if you only do one, the purchase map tiles is going to show you what's in that one tile. But if you're selecting multiple, like she is in this video, it's gonna add everything up and show you everything that's in those 5 or 10 whatever selected tiles, material wise. So what materials you're getting when you buy that land. So if you need ore, you can go to there's probably, God, I hope there's still a resources view, and where that stuff's at. So you're working your way towards ore deposit if that's what you're looking for.
Milestones also reward you with development points. You need development points to add city services, the bedrock of a functioning metropolis. But just adding them isn't enough. The needs of citizens will change as the city expands, so you'll need to keep developing cities.
All right, so I'll just point out in here, basic education services are elementary, high school, and then the next level after high school is college, and then I guess they consider university to be very educated or very highly educated. So it's a 4th tier, and I think there's only 4, maybe there's 5, I can't remember. But it looks like here, if you see on the notes, it does say all healthcare buildings in the city benefit from staff trained here. So I imagine if you build this medical university, if anybody goes to this medical university, which also acts as a university level for education, they get, I guess, more specially trained for working at clinics or hospitals or stuff. I don't know. I'm curious.
Services to keep pace. Your development points make it happen. The city services you choose to add, how you develop them, and just
All right, so this is one everybody will eventually get to because you have to figure out um, where you want your city to go as far as transportation wise. Some cities, some people like to do a mix of everything. Myself personally, I heavily favor subways. At least in City Skylines 1 because it was the most dense, fastest mode of transportation in the city. I also went with monorails just because I like monorails. I believe I mentioned that in an earlier video. And I really hope they bring them back. But I'm going to have to play with the new options and see. I heard trams are more efficient now. So I'm looking forward to trying trams out. I usually stay away from trams, at least in Cities Skylines 1. But maybe I bring them back.
advanced you make them all make a big impact on the character of your city. This is how it works. Each city service has a development tree. The nodes on the development tree are more and more advanced buildings that level up the city service in a specific way. As you unlock these nodes, that city service becomes more sophisticated and specialized. When you first add a city service, you're at the base of the development tree, so you get the basics. Like when you add the city service public transportation, you get buses and taxis. Basic stuff. Spend development points to unlock nodes further along the development tree. In this case, you might invest in trains to move more people more efficiently. Or you might go in a totally new direction by taking to the skies. It's all up to you. Remember, the further you go along a development tree, the more development points you'll need to cough up. And they don't exactly rain from the sky. You might not add a city service at all, or you might not develop it very much. Others, you'll take all the way. Once you add a city service and unlock nodes on its development tree using development points, it's time to open your wallet. To actually pay for the construction of city service buildings, building extensions, and operational upgrades, you need...
All right, so as you're seeing it here, and I believe they mentioned in the very first video that they made, episode 1, but every time you place one of these buildings or you build roads or you're just letting time elapse in the game, you're acquiring experience. So in this instance, they upgraded the building and they got experience for that. And the experience fills up this meter, and that's what pushes you towards the next milestones.
Cash. Don't worry, you can cover it with the monetary rewards you get when you unlock each milestone. By now, you're probably asking, how do I unlock milestones? It's all about expansion points, or XP. You'll rack up XP passively and actively. Passive XP are awarded up to 16 times during each in-game day. They're awarded as your population increases. That's why smooth-running cities that foster the well-being of citizens make steady progress toward the next milestone. Active XP are doled out right when you make bold investments in your city. Watch them rack up when you plop a signature building or invest in core infrastructure like the city's road network. In Cities Skylines 2, milestone rewards empower you to unleash your creativity and ambition on the path to building a city that only you can.
All right, we're covering Feature Highlights Episode 11, Citizen Simulation and Lifepath.
You might think that city building is all about glass and steel, bricks and mortar, tarmac, smokestacks, and iron tracks. But it's also about joy and laughter, sadness and tears, struggles, triumphs, even love. That's because city building is about people. While the behavior of your city citizens is rooted in deep simulation, they aren't guided by ones and zeros. They follow very real human impulses on their life path. A life path encompasses major events that shape their lives. It starts with being born in or moving to your city. Everything after that, from their first day of school to college graduation, their first big promotion to retirement, their nervous first date to tying the knot, is just another step on their life path. Most days will be uneventful. Citizens will follow a routine of attending school, working, and spending free time with friends and family. But like the rest of us, they'll have good days and bad. Citizens can fall ill, suffer accidents, lose their job and become homeless, commit crimes and face the consequences.
All right, so yeah, that's crazy. So, if somebody becomes homeless, then you start seeing people hanging out in your parks and your city common areas, which would indicate that you have a homeless problem. Um, and that means you need to have, lower rent housing and stuff like that. Um, and people can move. They can just move from one residence to another. Or if, let's say, in one household you have one guy, and then in another household you have one girl, if in game, if their life paths merge and they get married, then they move in together. So that means one housing will go vacant, and that other housing will now have two occupants. So it evolves in real time, and that, to me, that's absolutely fascinating. And I'm looking forward to learning how that affects gameplay.
On the flip side, citizens reap the benefits when your city thrives. These happy citizens stay and contribute as they get older, until it's their time to line up at heaven's pearly gates. Happiness is something you can actually measure in Cities Skylines too. It's a score that tallies an individual's health and well-being. You can track happiness on.
Okay, so I love the new. Um, I mean, happiness before in Cities Skylines 1 was kind of just it was a color display map, right? It would just kind of tells you how color they are. But here it actually breaks up the factors that are causing that happiness or unhappiness, in the sense. So in this particular aspect, the overall wealth of the city is contributing to the majority of why this city is happy. And they really love that they have reliable mail service. So if you have something like this that's -1 and it's tied to high noise pollution, then you may want to go to your noise pollution view and see what areas are generating noise pollution, and if there's residential areas near there, and if there are, you may want to consider relocating them, because you would gain the happiness bonus of taking a residential area that has a noise pollution and turning it into a commercial, maybe, so there's a little bit of a buffer, and then you don't have that negative factor on your happiness, and your city's happier. So again, the more detailed views allow you to really get down to the micromanaged level. Absolutely love it.
An individual's health and well-being. You can track happiness on each citizen's information panel. View the panel for their household to learn what's contributing or detracting from their collective happiness. Get the basics right, and citizens will basically be happy. Ensure they have a reliable electricity supply, clean water, decent plumbing, and regular garbage collection. Minimize ground, air, and noise pollution. Keep a lid on crime so citizens feel safe. High-speed internet is pretty much a must-have, and so is a suitable home. Families need space, so they'll benefit from living in larger homes in low-density areas where kids can roam freely. Small apartments are best for singles and students who want low rents in busy areas where they can go out and socialize. Healthcare is non-negotiable. Without it, citizens can die from illness and injuries. Even with good sanitation and low pollution, citizens need medical facilities near enough to travel on their own steam or by ambulance for routine care.
So that's a good point she brings up. So they will, if they're sick, they will try to take themselves to the hospital. If for some reason they're unable to, the sim will call for an ambulance, and then the hospital's got to send an ambulance. So it's not just this imaginary, your hospital is taking care of sick people. They are actually taking care of sick people. So the sick people will go or get picked up, and they're actually going to and from the facility. They're not just in the area of effect of the hospital and they're healed, so to speak. So I definitely like that more interactive aspect.
This is especially important for your city's elderly population, whose health won't always be tip-top. Seniors are actually in the last of the 4 life stages your citizens will experience. They might even live in a multi-generational home with citizens in the other life stages, including children, teens, and adults. And look out for 4-legged family members too.
Oh my god, the cuteness. Dogs are in the game. I love it. I wonder if it's just dogs or if there's cats too. That'd be funny. Put in the comments if you think they're gonna have any other types of animals.
Keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening with your citizens by viewing their Lifepath journal. It records everything that happens to them from the moment you click follow. It'll show you personal details, their happiness score, and their chirper feed. Oh, and one more thing, Chirper is back. Expanded and better integrated, Chirper now gives citizens a voice. They'll talk about what's going on in their lives and what's happening in the city. If their chirps get likes, you know just how important that topic is to them and other citizens. This can be helpful when they chirp to complain about underperforming city services and applaud their excellent work. When it comes
I never really found a use for Chirper. I always had a mod to turn him off, but I think that is an underappreciated new feature, but I'm really looking forward to it because, it kind of gives you can get into building mode and you can just go and go and go and you forget to check back on things, or you'll start neglecting certain areas of the city. So if you've got your chirper feed up and you didn't realize you cut a power line or something, and you're like out of view, you can't see it, and somebody's chirping that I lost power and it's got like 10,000 likes and you've got 11,000 population, then that tells you, whoops, I did something, and you can pause the game and fix it. Or, if, noise pollution or something like that, just something that is affecting the city, as long as you know your population and you see the amount of likes that somebody's getting on their chirper feed for a service related comment, that can be a hint that something's wrong. And that's awesome. I love that. And I think she's probably going to mention it here in a second, but you can follow people now. I think you can change their names and stuff. You can change the dog's names, animal names. But you can follow them so that you can track them. You can bring up a list of people that you're tracking, and you can follow somebody's life in the game. And I think that's pretty cool. That's not a feature they had in Cities Skylines 1.
As to the health, well-being, and happiness of your citizens, think quality, not quantity. By creating places, spaces, and experiences that enrich their lives, you'll discover what city building is all about.
All right, we're on episode 12 of the feature highlights, sound and music.
The sounds of the city. Inspiring. Exciting. Annoying. In Cities Skylines 2, a rich and dynamic soundscape brings your city to life. What would a city be without the hum of traffic and people? To ratchet up the realism of Cities Skylines 2, vehicles, people, and animals add to the audio mix. Cars even sound different depending on how fast they're going, while sirens match the European or North American theme of your city. Click on a person, and you'll hear an audio cue that expresses their age, gender, and mood. Even animals will have something to say when you click. Almost all city service buildings have sounds related to their function and operational status. These sounds can change with the time of the day, the outside temperature, and when it's extended or upgraded. By layering sound loops with distinctive audio spots, city service buildings add variation and texture to the city's soundscape. Ambient sounds are more than background audio. They follow the camera, changing according to whatever you're looking at. Move from one zone type to another, the ambient sounds change. When bad weather blows in, the ambient sounds change. As an emergency unfolds, the ambient sounds change. There are 2 radio networks in Cities Skylines too. Each network.
All right, so that is crazy. I never really paid attention to the sounds in Cities Skylines 1, but I am definitely more curious to do like going down to city level with my camera and seeing what they've said about the sounds, because that's just crazy. I mean, the way they can do that, to me, it's just nuts.
Work features a few stations playing music from different genres. Stations have hosts who talk between songs and anchor the talk show if there is one. Public citizen radio stations mostly play classical music, but there's a little pop in there too. The best part is these stations are ad-free.
Now, I can imagine, like radio stations before, when they put out not mods, but expansions and just sets and stuff like that, there'll be more radio stations. So whatever we start with will definitely get added to over time. So I look forward to some country radio stations. I don't know what everybody else is looking forward to, but if you looking forward to a particular type of radio station, put in the comments, let me know.
Radio stations do more than entertain you. They're designed to deliver news and information about what's happening in your city. These fact-based announcements can help you address critical situations before they get out of hand. Of course, that includes disaster alerts. Whatever's playing on the radio will be interrupted if disaster strikes.
Okay, that's crazy. I really like that. That definitely wasn't in Cities Skylines 1.
All citizens in the affected area are instructed to immediately move to a safe distance until the situation is under control.
Don't worry if you miss it. You'll also hear an alarm if you've built an early disaster warning system building. To avoid overwhelming you with too many sounds at once, Cities Skylines 2 uses audio grouping. This system accounts for the distance and number of sound sources relative to the camera. Then it reduces the number of potential audio sources activating simultaneously. It also switches between close and distant sounds, so traffic on a busy highway miles away doesn't sound as close as that police cruiser speeding past. The immersive audio of Cities Skylines 2 is designed to enrich your city building experience. Embrace it and lose yourself in a world of your imagination.
Feature highlights episode 13, cinematic camera and photo mode. Let's get into it.
Modesty is a virtue, and it's totally overrated. Unveil the beauty of your city with the revamped photo mode in Cities Skylines 2. It's powerful, dynamic, and user-friendly, so there's almost no limit to how creative you can be when capturing the magnificence of your city and sharing it for all the world to see and celebrate. With one click of the photo mode button, you can access 2 image capture modes, free camera and cinematic. Use free camera mode to take eye-popping stills. Toggle to cinematic mode to unleash the filmmaker inside. There are all kinds of camera property settings to get the shot you're after, including adjustments to the camera body, camera lens, and aperture shape. Use subsettings to configure them even more, for example, with camera collision or focal length. Fine-tune the depth of field, motion blur, bloom, vignette, film grain, and panini projection with settings on the Lens tab. Go mad on the Color tab. You can transform the vibe of your screenshots by tinkering with the colors, white balance, and brightness. Whatever you do, don't wait around for ideal weather conditions to take your shot. Weather settings let you drench your city in sunshine or draw it under the shadow of stormy skies. Set the distance clouds, volumetric clouds, fog, and atmosphere. Settings on the Environment tab work in a similar way. Change the time of day and set the simulation speed, which is useful when creating videos in cinematic mode. Ready to roll camera? You'll find basic controls for the cinematic camera when you enter cinematic mode. Use them to calibrate camera position controls, which control the position and rotation of the camera, and all those other cool camera properties. You'll also see controls like play and pause to view the playback you created, save for when you want to keep that playback, and reset when you want to start fresh.
Alright, so this is crazy. I know Cities Skylines 1 had, like taking screenshots and stuff, but this is just next level. And I'll be honest, this is a content creator's dream right here. This is going to allow us to take stunning thumbnails. So I really look forward, not only mine, I'm obviously a new creator. I'm still kind of tweaking my thumbnail designs and learning the process, but I'm really excited to see what some of the more established YouTubers do with this tool.
Wait, hang on. A playback? A playback is a set of points spaced throughout the timeline of your video. Typically, each point has a different camera position and rotation. The video comes together as the camera transitions between them. And as you add points to the timeline with different camera positions and rotations, you can also tweak the transition between them. When you're happy with your playback, record it using any game capture software. That's exactly how we've created this series of feature highlights videos. The best part? You can then share your videos with a global community of city builders who share your passion for testing the limits of what's possible. Your city is unlike any other because it's yours. So go on. Show off a little.
Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you think I have earned it. Blow up that bell to get notified when I go live or post new content. If you want to see more, check out my playlists. They're right there on the top right hand corner, or YouTube's recommended video right there.